Hello and welcome back to a brand new season of the award-winning podcast, Cancelled Movie Report. Award-winning, you say? What award did it win and in what year? That's not important. And joining me to kick off the new season with a bang is actor and comedian Mr. Eden Porter.
Thank you very much for having me, Cambo. Yes, we're back.
Finally, I say, more than anyone else, finally. Yes, it's been a little while between drinks. I went and got myself all married up, and Eden, you snuck off and had another child.
Yes, this is true. This is true. You know what's better than not sleeping? Not sleeping twice as much.
And to wit, we do mention this because you're on a new father schedule as well. So, Eden, you will be coming in and out of the season as your schedule might permit. I just wanted to let people know that right at top as well.
Good.
But look, we're starting with a bang, or should I say with a roar? Because we have a report here that's actually been requested by Sam Minich from Cleveland, Ohio. Wanted us to talk about this one. Eden, are you familiar with the Japanese kaiju monster Godzilla?
Oh, am I familiar with it, Cambo? Yes, I am. Although I knew of the original Japanese ones as more of I never sat down and watched them, but I would know them through pop culture and references and The Simpsons and stuff like that. Like you know what Godzilla is, and you've seen those images. And then obviously the American Godzilla, which to me wasn't really Godzilla, the 1998.
Not just to you.
Yeah, we'll probably get to that.
Well, we're talking about one. This has been on the boil for us for a few seasons. A couple of people have sent it through in our request form. This is the Godzilla movie you maybe didn't know about, but maybe you should have. This is the tale of Godzilla 94. Often, it's a double-edged sword when America decides to remake something. And Godzilla might be the ultimate example. In the early 90s, Hollywood came closer than ever to doing it right. A big budget, faithful adaptation with cutting-edge effects and genuine reverence for the King of Monsters. But somewhere between the boardroom and the backlots, it all fell apart. This is the story of the Godzilla movie that almost was, and what it reveals about what happens when America tries to repackage a legend. Now, I am going to assume that you have seen the Godzilla that we did eventually get, the first American Godzilla, Eden. Is that correct?
Yes. Do you remember what the tagline was, Cambo, for that film?
Size does matter.
Size does matter because that's what it was all about back then. The bigger the monster. And I have it on good authority that one, obviously this is off the back of Jurassic Park.
Yes.
A few years earlier. And there was definitely, you can tell by Godzilla's design and what we got, there was a movement towards, let's just make him a bigger dinosaur, sort of T-Rexy like thing. Mm-hmm. And another little bit of trivia, do you remember what the original teaser trailer for this was?
I do. Do you actually? Feel like this directly addresses the Jurassic Park comparison.
Yes. Yes.
I tell you what, I'll do the start of it and you tell me how it concludes. From my memory, there's a tour guide in a museum.
Yep.
And he's showing off a skeleton of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the biggest predator known to man, to a school group.
Well, these school kids are looking on in amazement, thinking this is the biggest thing that's ever walked the earth.
It's huge.
Then we hear the rumbling, and through the top of the museum, Godzilla himself's giant foot comes in and crushes poor old Rexy's skeleton and then moves on, thus proving that Godzilla is the more superior apex predator.
Some might say that size does matter.
Some might say that, and plot does not matter.
This is the kind of project I love to bring on the show because there is a lot of documentation around this.
Oh, so good.
I do need to give some research credit, specifically to the website Sci-Fi Japan, who have an absolutely exhausting article called Godzilla Unmade that documents every single facet of this production. And I think that there is probably more to this than people even realize. I also will say up front that if you're watching this in a visual medium, be it on YouTube or Spotify video or wherever you might be watching, if there is concept art that correlates to what we're talking about, I'll put it on screen. But fear not if you're just listening. We will explain everything that we're going through as well. So let's get into what we know about the project and the history of how this came to be, because this is not the Roland Emmerich Godzilla at all. And it was a very long road to get to that one. And it all starts like this. The project was initiated by Henry G. Saperstein. He was the head of United Productions of America, UPA. And he was also the American agent for Godzilla. Did you know Godzilla had an American agent?
I did not know the American Godzilla. Hey, Godzilla, we got a great role for you, see? You got to come over stateside.
So Saperstein had a long history with Toho, who were the production company of Godzilla, dating back all the way into the 60s. And what he'd been doing, he's been instrumental in bringing the Japanese Godzilla movies to the US. So
whenever it was released over there, he was sort of like the distributor to get it on screen.
That's right. And he secured Toho's agreement to produce an American Godzilla film, and he pitched the idea to various studios, leading to the acquisition of the Godzilla rights from Toho in 1992 to Sony.
Great.
This is how the official kickoff of America making a Godzilla movie happened. While Sony Pictures and their subsidiary, TriStar Pictures, secured the rights to Godzilla, the project faced initial resistance from executives skeptical about the character's appeal to a global audience. Now, is this not Hollywood producer fuckery 101?
Yeah.
You've got the rights for something, you've secured it, and at that point you go, but will it work?
Yeah. It's like, no, you've done all the legwork. You've got it through the door. His giant foot is in the door. They're trying to close it. They're trying to close the giant door at him. Because ultimately, you get cold feet and then what, they shelve it and then no one can make it. And then you're like, great, no one else can make it now. That's all locked up. That's terrible.
Look, luckily this didn't happen because in 1993, Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio were hired to write the screenplay. And that is, for people watching and listening to this, that is the screenplay we have. We have the Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio screenplay. And they aimed for a serious science fiction thriller respecting Toho's mandate not to make light of Godzilla. That was a directive they got from Toho.
Oh, so that's like a little inbuilt, like the rules of, like James Bond, there was always certain rules that he could and couldn't do. So Godzilla has certain rules as well. Okay.
Worry not your pretty head, Eden. I have a list of rules coming up.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so finding a director proved to be a challenge. Several high-profile directors, including Tim Burton and the duo of, tell me if this sounds familiar, the duo of Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin.
Oh,
they all declined the project.
They declined.
Emmerich and Devlin in particular expressed concerns about a certain cheese factor and the difficulty of making a serious Godzilla film.
God, okay, that's great. That's Roland Emmerich's.
Yeah, there's what we're going into is Dean Devlin and Roland Emmerich do not want to make a Godzilla film. Keep that in your mind for next episode.
Keep that in the back of your head. But man, what does a Tim Burton Godzilla movie look like? Johnny Depp plays Godzilla?
So let me tell you, in 1994, a director signed on, Jan de Bont. Now, are you familiar with Jan de Bont?
I have heard Jan de Bont. I have heard that name before.
He's best known for directing a little movie called Speed.
Yes, that's right.
And that is the movie he was coming off for this project. And he was also famously the cinematographer of Die Hard. That's where he really
cut his teeth,
established himself as an action aficionado. He shot Die Hard and then he went on to be an action director. And he was brought in as the director for this film. So de Bont embraced the project. He's aiming to create a visually impressive and serious Godzilla film that respected the character's origins. And with this, we kick off into pre-production. So there's a lot of pre-production that went on for this film.
Oh.
First of all, de Bont went to Toho to get their blessing. And he even got a nice little picture with Godzilla outside of Toho saying that, thank you, Mr. de Bont, you're going to make me a monster.
Great.
Holding a little sign.
Love it. Love it.
It's the cheesiest, most 90s image you can ever concoct in your mind. I just want you to picture that.
Good. Yes. Love it.
So then, next step, they've got their script, they've got their production designer, they've got their visual effects supervisor, they've got creature designs. Storyboard artists are now hired. So there are a lot of storyboards that exist for this on the internet. And during our scene recreations, if you're watching this, I'll try and match up any storyboards we have to the story that's happening on screen. De Bont explicitly stated his intention to create a Godzilla that felt as believable as the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park.
Oh, a first official Jurassic Park reference, Cambo.
He told a reporter in 1994, "I think audiences are more sophisticated, and I would like to make Godzilla and his adversaries a lot more realistic. But it must be amazing to see a monster that's that big, 250 feet tall, and it looks real. And when you make it that convincing, you're going to accept it. Like the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park. That's the way we want to do this movie, to have real monsters."
They saw what could be done and they said, we just want to do that again, but we want to do it in the style of original Japanese Godzilla.
Despite the works done by the early concept artist for Godzilla and the creatures, here's where we kick it up a notch. Because Stan Winston Studios was ultimately awarded the contract to design the creature.
Sick.
In fact, not just Godzilla, but all of the adversaries that Godzilla fights as well. So Winston, obviously, for people that may not be familiar, if you're listening to this show,
You're
would say
familiar.
you probably are. He's a renowned special effects artist. And he's done pretty much every iconic movie creature in the last, 50 years,
Name a
maybe?
movie creature, Cambo.
Jurassic Park.
Correct.
So Stan Winston was awarded the contract to design all of the creatures for this Godzilla movie. Now, your mate and mine, Mark Crash McCready, a key artist at Stan Winston Studios, he headed the design team, and McCready aimed to balance a sense of realism with faithfulness to Godzilla's iconic look, stating, "I tried to make sense of the texture on Godzilla. I also added contrast between his belly and his back just to give it a little more interest and more details in the head. Again, trying to make it feel a little bit more naturalistic." So there are actually images online of the Stan Winston created models for this Godzilla, and it does look like your iconic Toho Studios Japanese Godzilla. He's got the protruding belly like he normally does. He's got the spiky fins at the back. He does not look like the Godzilla we came to know for the American Godzilla. It looks great.
It looks great. So you're saying it looks absolutely great.
It is definitely modernized,
Yeah.
but it is unmistakably Godzilla.
At any point, did James Cameron walk by and say, put mandibles on it? And they went, great idea. And then Godzilla has little mandibles?
It's good. First mention of Jim in the season. We're off to a flyer.
Tick it off.
So they had planned over 500 CGI shots.
Hang on,
That
what?
in 1994 is astronomical amount of shots.
Famously, Jurassic Park doesn't have that many shots.
No, it does not. Believe me, once we get into the story, you'll see why they needed so many of these. Digital Domain was contracted to handle a significant portion of the visual effects with Sony Pictures ImageWorks and VIFX also involved. We also get to casting because Riza Brahman Garcia was hired as a casting director. And initial reports from TriStar suggested that the film would feature some A-list talent. Saperstein, the American agent of Godzilla, he had championed the American Godzilla film for years, but he believed that Godzilla should be the attraction, not the movie stars. He said, in fact, quote, Godzilla will be the star.
Yeah.
However, others working on Godzilla have said that Jan de Bont did have two people that weren't quite A-list yet that he very much wanted to be the leads in his film. According to the screenwriter, Terry Rossio, the director was considering Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton.
No, no.
For the roles of Jill Llewellyn and Aaron Vaught, respectively.
Hang on, this is pre-Twisters.
We'll get to that. Chris Lee also recalled, when we were developing Godzilla with Jan, he kept saying, "I want Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton as the leads."
That is wild.
This is where I want to make a bold claim, Eden. I want you to know that next week, I have a really good joke about this.
Okay, keep that in mind, everyone.
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind for next week.
Keep that in mind, and also get those expectations up.
Yeah, get them way up. Get those downloads. Get those downloads up. Get that interested. This is how you create buzz about a podcast, Cambo. You see,
that is Chekhov's gun.
Yeah.
What is my joke about Twister? So, Mark Stetson of Stetson Visual Services Incorporated was also hired, and he was in talks to provide all the miniature effects for specific sequences throughout the film. They were going to merge miniatures.
Oh, so they were
going
to still do miniatures as well. I love.
There's a lot of city destruction
Love it.
in this movie. It might not surprise you. TriStar even released a promo image in anticipation of the whole production kicking off. It was a rendered art piece of the TriStar Studios with the shadow of Godzilla over it, and it just says Godzilla coming 1994.
I love it when people get all buzzed up and like start creating little content like that.
So before we get into the film itself, it is worth pointing out that Toho maintained a very strong influence throughout this entire process. And they provided guidelines for Godzilla's portrayal. Do you want to hear the rules that they insisted for Godzilla?
Well, people don't call me Eden I Love Rules Porter for nothing, Cambo.
Rule number 1, Godzilla was created by a nuclear accident.
Good. Tick.
Godzilla does not eat people.
Oh, that's interesting.
Godzilla, he causes destruction, but he does not eat people. 3, Godzilla has 3 rows of dorsal fins.
That's a rule.
That's a rule. Number 4, Godzilla has 4 claws on each hand and each foot.
Yeah, wow, this is quite good.
Number 5, Godzilla has a long tail.
Yeah, well, yes, that's fine.
Number 6, Godzilla was not to be made fun of.
Yeah. Okay.
And number 7, the last rule, Godzilla could not die.
Oh, really?
These are the rules that they had to follow for their Godzilla script.
So he must always have a possibility to come back or something.
Yeah, even if he is destroyed, there needs to be, in some sense, the idea that Godzilla can return.
Just like James Bond, Godzilla will return.
With all that in mind, Eden, do you want to hear the story of Godzilla 94?
Yes, I do, Cambo.
The story opens in the Arctic Ocean, and the camera's gliding in amongst ice caps and icebergs. And it goes over one iceberg that spells the word Godzilla.
No, it doesn't.
And that's your opening title as the camera sweeps in. It does. We follow a group of eco-warriors aboard an old fishing boat called the Rainbow Warrior, and it's lurking outside a small natural harbour. Scene's kind of dark, cold, and ominous. The eco-warriors are spying on a salvage ship anchored nearby as they observe some divers operating under the cover of night. These aren't ordinary salvages, though. They're performing some kind of dangerous operation near the wreckage of a nuclear reactor. And the radiation levels are off the charts.
Of course they are, Cambo.
Suddenly, the sea begins to boil. Chaos starts to erupt. The salvage ship is violently lifted up into the air and consumed by a fiery explosion, sending massive chunks of ice crashing into the sea. The scene turns kind of surreal as burning snow falls around them. The fissure opens up in a glacier, and it starts to open wide. And from within, a dark, red-black fluid begins to seep into the sea, staining the Arctic waters a blood red color. One of the characters looking on from the eco-warrior boat says,
"The earth is bleeding."
That's the opening scene for this. Something is going on in the Arctic.
Something, mate. Hey, did it say in the script that the snow was burning as it fell?
Well, yeah, it's like ash. Like
ash.
The snow's falling, but there's like burning ash around them.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay, cool. Opening scene. I like it. The earth's bleeding. It's sounding cool.
The scene now shifts to the domestic life of Dr. Keith and Dr. Jill Llewellyn. They're a married couple and they're getting a little bit frisky, Eden, when suddenly they're interrupted by a phone call.
Oh, I thought you were going to say by Godzilla.
No. Suddenly the phone rings.
Oh my god. Damn it. Dr. Llewellyn. How soon? Okay. I'll be ready. What? Oh, of course. For you.
Dr. Llewellyn? How soon? Yes, I can be ready. The Arctic. Both of us.
I hate cold weather.
Could be our last chance to be warm for a while. The government picks now to get efficient.
middle of the night. Can't they ever wait till, say, noon?
How about just 5 more minutes?
10 more minutes.
Ugh, I'm not gonna be able to keep down breakfast.
The Torkelsons said they'd keep an eye on the place. If you have any troubles, go to them.
Unruffle a little, Mom. I mean, we live in the suburbs, okay?
She's right. Nothing strange ever happens here.
Goodbye.
I don't know when we'll be back. As soon as security protocol allows, we'll call.
I'll bring you back a penguin.
Wrong hemisphere, Dad.
This is Orange 1, requesting landing on Arctic Strip 0701.
This is Arctic Command. Landing cleared.
You're the Doctors Llewellyn from the National Science Foundation? I'm Tucker. This is a radiation badge. If it goes red, consider yourself cured of cancer.
And dead, of course.
But a healthy kind of dead.
What are those drums? What the hell have you found here, anyway?
This is peculiar soup.
Early analysis is odd. It has a marked resemblance to amniotic fluid.
Amniotic fluid?
Like in a womb?
Uh-huh. Well, not really. There are some complex compounds, and a heavy barbiturate presence. There's supposed to be lab equipment back on the transport, if you'd like to.
I think she'd like to. She can be a little obsessive. Jill!
Ooh.
Well, it seems the Llewellyns have been called in to see what's going on in the Arctic because there's amniotic fluid leaking out.
So this is a birth, Cambo. This is a birth that's happening
if
here.
that's where you think it might be heading, Eden, who am I to tell you no?
Mate, I don't know, but I tell you what right now, there is some these guys are getting up to all sorts of kinky hijinks.
Frisky business. They start the scene underneath the bed.
This is underneath the bed, Cambo. Wow. This is great. And then she's so upset when they get interrupted by the government. Whoa. Also, Chekhov's suburb, mate. You got to love Chekhov's suburb. Nothing ever happens in these suburbs. Don't worry about that. I think something's going to happen in the suburbs.
Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Oh, really?
I do not know why that line is in there. We live in the suburbs. Nothing ever happens here. And you know what? She's right.
That's so funny. I honestly thought this was going to end up with Godzilla walking through their suburb. I'm liking it so far, Cambo. I think it's good. I've got Bill Paxton and Helen Hunt in my head, yeah?
You have Helen Hunt in your head. Bill Paxton has not entered the scene yet.
Oh, okay. So who's her husband then? Who's she getting jiggy
Keith
with?
Llewellyn was not cast. Who would you cast in 94?
Bill Pullman.
Okay, Bill Pullman it is. Bill Pullman is he's Keith Llewellyn. But Helen Hunt, think of Helen Hunt when you think of Jill.
Yeah.
Now, the two split to discover more. So Jill runs off to the lab, whereas Keith, however, the vision leads Keith into a cavern. And there's a massive space hollowed out of the ice and the rock. And the red-black fluid sloshes around their feet as they move deeper. Ooh. Keith's curiosity drives him to explore a smaller chamber filled with what initially seems to be stalactites and stalagmites. But Tucker, he reveals something kind of shocking. Those aren't geological formations at all. What do you think they are, Eden?
I think they're teeth.
Their teeth.
Michael?
Keith realizes suddenly, in horror, that they're standing inside a mouth of a gigantic creature, petrified, eerily well-preserved in the ice.
Okay, so they're up near its mouth. So where's the fluid coming from? Where's this amniotic fluid coming from? It's just all around.
It's coming from the ice. And deep in this cavern, frozen in ice, is a gigantic creature.
Oh my God, this is so cool. Cam.
And if the fluid is leaking, Eden, that means something's going on, because suddenly the ground trembles as an avalanche rumbles somewhere deep within the glacier. The lights flicker and cut out in the research center, plunging this whole cavern into darkness.
Ooh.
Panic begins to set as Keith and Tucker are left in pitch black inside the cavern. their flashlights revealing only a brief glimpse of a creature they now realize is no ordinary fossil. No. It's alive. And then, in a heart-stopping moment, the monster's eyelid opens.
I was going to say...
blinks.
Yeah, I was going to say the eyelid, the T-Rex eye. Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Its massive pupil kind of contracting to the sudden return of light.
Yeah.
Keith watches in terror as the creature begins to stir, its enormous claws and tail starting to move, shifting the very earth around it. Chaos erupts as the creature, Godzilla, comes back to life. Ice crashes down from the cavern ceiling, and the monster unleashes a terrifying roar, unlike anything we've ever heard before.
Michael, can I just say, the iceberg letters that spell out Godzilla, are they flying through the air as well?
yeah, they're all floating away.
Yeah.
Melting in the distance.
Yeah, good.
Flames fill the cavern, and the once petrified creature now hauls itself out of the icy tomb, clawing its way to the surface. As meanwhile, back at the outpost, Jill is conducting her own analysis inside the transport plane when the earth-shattering tremors signal that something is terribly wrong. She races to the cockpit of the plane, only to witness the unimaginable. Godzilla's head breaks through the ice. The monster emerges, cataclysmic, and breathes fire, melting the glacier as it rises to its full, terrifying height. Soldiers scatter, desperately trying to escape. But Jill can only watch as horror as the creature continues to rampage, and Keith disappears into the ice cavern below. He's gone.
He's gone. That's it.
Godzilla steps over the transport plane where Jill is still trapped, miraculously sparing her. The monster, now free, moves with terrifying speed, heading straight for the ocean. And as Godzilla vanishes beneath the waves, Jill is left standing at the wreckage. Watching the beast disappear into the sea, she looks back to the cavern where her husband is sadly demised.
So, Cam, you're telling me Bill Pullman signed up for one scene in this film?
This is his executive decision.
Good.
Yes, no, Keith is no more. Jill Llewellyn has lost her dear husband.
This is crazy, mate. This is absolute madness going on.
What do you think of the Godzilla emerging from the ice?
I think it's great. I think it's classic. I think it's the fire breath. He's already using the fire breath. The fire breath is usually saved for the big battles and stuff, but he's coming out strong, mate. He's coming out real strong. And he doesn't, although I don't know, maybe he'll get to it. One thing I love about Godzilla, especially the new Godzillas, is when me and my wife Rachel have a thing about this. When he starts warming up and he goes wah 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 wah, I love that so much. It's so
especially
good.
It is pivotal.
Yeah,
that it goes wah 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 wah, and then you cut all the sound.
Yeah, it's so
and
good.
then you blast.
It's so good. It's so good.
So the story now transitions to Japan, where we meet Aaron Vaught. Now this is Bill Paxton.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not. We didn't get him, but this is the character to be played by Bill Paxton. We meet Aaron Vaught, and we also meet Marty Kaneshita. These are two men that are investigating the aftermath of what seems like a natural disaster on a coastal village in Japan. But they suspect perhaps it wasn't a natural disaster that came through here.
This is all hurricane damage?
The worst hurricane in 50 years swept through 6 months ago. At least that's the official version.
No. Please, Marty. You're not allowed to be paranoid today.
Oh, come on. We know the Japanese government doesn't want us here. Just like the feds with the Arctic cover-up. They're all in cahoots.
That's what we all want you to believe. Is that him?
The only survivor.
He'll talk to us?
Yep.
彼は海から現れま
He
し
came
た
out of the ocean. He was taller than the trees,
空と同じくらいでした
as tall as the sky.
彼は火を吐きました
He breathed fire,
そして彼の尻尾は津波を起こし
and
ま
his
した
tail made a tidal wave
それが私の
that
村
destroyed my
を破
village,
壊しました
that killed my wife.
A dragon.
So much for the official version.
あれが妻を殺した。
No one
誰
believes
も
me.
私を信じてくれない。私は幻覚。
They say I am a crazy man who sees things.
Tell him I believe him. Look, this is my book. See on the back cover? That's me. Every culture has fables and myths about dragons. The Midgard serpent, Quetzalcoatl, the dragon that sleeps at the heart of the world. Only I think those stories are about something real. Something that's been around a long time. Something you saw. Just like that one there in the book. I believe in dragons, Junji. I believe you.
見て。
He wants to
同じだ。
give you his notepad.
私のパッドにも同じものがあるよ。
It's full of drawings of the creature.
And these symbols here, the one next to your drawings, what do these mean? Is it a name?
これは何という名前ですか？
はい。ゴジラ。ゴジラ。
I've never heard that name before.
I have. In 1928, Atkinson translated the characters as Godzilla.
祖父はゴジラの話を聞かせてくれた。そして人類以前の人類の話を聞かせてくれた。
He says his grandfather told him stories about Godzilla and about the people before people. I think that's what he said.
Oh, look at this one here. A griffin curled into a fetal position in a mound beneath the earth. Godzilla breathing fire on it.
The adversary?
I don't know.
Aaron Bott, Marty Kanoshita, I must sadly inform you that the government of Japan has cancelled your visas.
What?
Pike, U.S. Consular Operations. I'll escort you out of the country.
Oh man. Cons Ops? He's Cons Ops, Aaron. Those are real super secret black bag spook guys. They've got their fingers in everything.
Oh, I'm hardly that bad, Mr. Kenoshita. By the way, you might want to pay those parking tickets. Shall we, Mr. Bond?
私は物事を見る巨人ではありません。私が見たもののために狂っているのです。
What did he say?
He said he is not a crazy man who sees things. He is crazy because of what he has seen.
Familiarize yourself with this.
St. George Project Top Secret. This is real?
You're surprised. You theorized its existence in your book.
Well, yeah, but that was a theory.
It was found last year in the Arctic. We've kept a lid on the discovery.
I knew it. I told you, Aaron.
Can we see it? Can you take us to it?
That's the problem. They got up and walked away. We've been unable to locate it since.
It walked away? It's alive?
And you lost it? It's 400 feet long.
And the Pacific Ocean is 64 million square miles. That's why you're here, Mr. Bond. We want your help finding it.
The St. George Project, as in the one who slays the dragon.
Okay, so this is a 90s movie trope, especially in like disaster movies, that I think has aged badly, in which conspiracy theory guys are right.
Yeah. It paved the way for where we are now, where all the conspiracies assume they are right because they grew up watching movies that told them they were right.
And Aaron Bott, he is a conspiracy theorist that writes books, and he has obviously heard of Godzilla before. He's been tracking it, but now the government has actually come to him for help because it's got up and walked away.
Yeah, it's sort of an anticlimactic reveal of like you're instantly told that this guy believes into this thing that everyone thinks he's like a crackpot, and then the government goes, "Yeah, by the way, that thing's real, and we need you to with us straight away."
You're the best, and here's extra free money.
Yeah, here's free money. The other trope I do like is I like the talking to the local about the destruction and having the translator there. I feel like we don't get that enough these days.
Yeah.
I was waiting for him. I was waiting for him to talk. He goes, and what was he called? What was this person's name? Kaiser Sose. So his job is, this is Bill Paxton. He's just a conspiracy theory guy that thought it was real and now it is real.
Yeah. He's been writing about these secret monsters he believes are in the earth.
What was Helen Hunt's job though? What was she? She was she's like
a vague scientist.
Just like quote unquote scientist lady. Yeah.
Her and her husband, but they're both doctors, whereas Aaron's a little bit more for the streets.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it.
So the story continues in a remote, tranquil lake in Utah. And we see the reflection of the lake. And in the reflection, we see a mysterious alien probe grow larger and larger in the reflection of the lake's surface until the probe violently crashes into the water. The extraterrestrial object displaces tons of water, sending massive waves crashing ashore. And it ignites nearby treetops on fire. Steam rises from the lake. Essentially empties an entire lake with one. It's like a comet hitting.
So it's like huge. This thing's huge.
It's like a spacecraft, but obviously, like if something hits
Hang on, Cambo. You've just thrown me for a loop right now. Hang on, this is a Godzilla fighting a griffin. I get that. And then you're telling me that an alien spacecraft has just also landed.
Eden, did I stutter?
Well, I think you might be on something because this doesn't make a lot of sense to me right now, Cambo. Because I'm deeply invested in this monster on monster action that I can grasp that. I have no idea what this alien probe. When you said alien probe, I was confused.
No, it is an alien probe from outer space, crashes into this lake. So steam rises from the lake. The once quiet, tranquil scene turns chaotic, as if nature itself is reacting to this sudden invasion. And underwater, what's left of the water, the probe sinks smoothly, cutting through the lake's depths towards a submerged cave opening and vanishes into the darkness. Ooh. Now, the action now shifts to the small town of Traveler, Utah, nearby. Two ranch hands, John and Stu, step out of a battered pickup truck in front of a diner, their dogs sniffing around nervously. As they engage in idle banter, the tension starts to build when the dog suddenly starts growling toward the sky. The two men are caught off guard, and before they can react, frogs start raining down from the sky. Frogs and fish and all kinds of stuff. It's essentially whatever was blown out of the lake is now raining into the town.
Right.
The bizarre scene kind of escalates as frogs slam into buildings. They start shattering car windshields. They're snapping power lines. The town sheriff and their waitress, Deborah, they step out of the diner to witness this strange phenomenon. Deborah's terrified. She interprets this as a biblical plague. She's falling to her knees praying as the frogs storm kind of, starts to abate. And as the frogs twitch and flop in the street, we meet Nelson Fleer. He's a local wilderness guide and he's a cave diver. He kind of steps out of his store, a bit unnerved by what just happened, and he mutters,
"Damn. I hate this weird shit."
Wow, what a line.
As deep underground, inside a bat cavern, the alien probe breaks the surface of the underground lake. So it's now in a cave.
Can I just say before you go on, those characters that we just interacted with, are they coming back or is that just one and done?
They do come back, not in a huge substantial way, but this is not the last you're going to see of Traveler, Utah.
Okay. Because the other guys, I was just going to say, I like, that's sort of a bit of a trope as well in these movies where you meet, there's two people having a conversation, you meet them and then this crazy thing happens and then it's sort of just moved on. They're just part of the world. I do like that stuff.
Maybe a signal by the fact I gave him a first and last name, but Nelson Fleer, you're going to see him again.
Okay, good. Yeah.
Now, the probe pops up in the underground lake in this cavern. And the probe, it's kind of ominous and silent, but it begins to unfold. And from within it emerges silvery tendrils. The tendrils lash out, and they're capturing and cocooning the bats on the ceiling of the cave. This marks the beginning of the probe's assimilation process.
Wow. So it's a simulate. So this is a Borg situation, is it?
It is somewhat a Borg situation. I wouldn't say it's a one-to-one Borg situation.
No, it's not one-to-one. I never claimed it to be a one-to-one Borg situation.
But your tone was suggesting you think it's a one-to-one Borg situation.
I will roll back that suggestive tone and simply place it is not a 1-to-1, maybe a 1-to-10 Borg situation.
What you're saying is it's not a million miles away from a Borg situation.
Okay, good.
But this is essentially how the adversaries of Godzilla are going to come to be, is they're going to assimilate from something otherworldly.
Okay. But the Griffin's not. The Griffin's just in an egg and it's going to be heated up, isn't it? That's what the tablet said.
The only way to know is if we keep continuing it.
Well, let's just continue.
Because now we're at a military fort in New York. It's the headquarters of the secretive St. George Project. Erion Moore and Marty Kaneshita, they follow Pike into a high-tech situation room. The room is filled with monitors displaying 3D renders of the ocean floor, anatomical schematics of Godzilla, footage of the Arctic, including a freeze frame of Godzilla breathing fire. When suddenly, Jill Llewellyn storms into the room.
This is unacceptable. Aaron Vaught is a crackpot. He might be of some help if we were looking for the lost continent of Atlantis or Santa's workshop.
He's a popular crockpot. The president has read this book.
Listen, Vaught is going to want to collect this thing and write books about it and earn lecture fees talking about it and pose for goddamn photos with it.
Don't forget the t-shirt concessions.
Dr. Llewellyn, this is Marty Kaneshita, and this is Aaron Vaught.
I think you're familiar with my work.
Our mission stays the same.
The project's mission is the same. Neutralize the creature using best means possible.
We find it and we kill it.
Damn straight.
Well, Mr. Vaught, I look forward to hearing your ideas.
You mean now? Oh, okay. Well, I was thinking on the plane. Okay, taking into consideration Godzilla's size and mass, he must...
Godzilla? You've given it a name.
We found out its name.
Go on, please, Mr. Vaught.
Like I was saying, given Godzilla's size and mass, he must eat huge amounts just to stay alive. So if we track fish migratory patterns, looking for disruptions in their regular...
Been there, done that.
What?
We thought of that, Mr. Vaught. There's been no change.
What? But that makes no sense. No change? There's gotta be a change. Unless Godzilla's metabolism is so unique, he doesn't need much food.
What is this? Jet lag?
Quiet. He's onto something.
No, not food. Fuel. Look. He doesn't really breathe fire. The flame starts a couple of meters from Godzilla's mouth.
Looks like you're right. So?
He's exhaling something so hot, it's actually ionizing the oxygen molecules. Steam, maybe?
Again. So?
It's like a nuclear reactor. A biological fusion reactor.
Yeah, sure. He wouldn't need much fuel to sustain himself.
He's a biological fusion reactor. I'll bet a year's royalties from my book on it.
It's not a bad theory, but it doesn't help us find him.
For you, it's the MPs.
Tina. I'll be right there.
Would you mind autographing your book? For the president.
Wow, this is some good stuff. I like this whole explanation about why Godzilla doesn't eat very much and how, if you notice, look closely, the flame doesn't actually come out of its mouth. There's actually heating. I actually like all that stuff. I've never heard that broken down in that way before. Have you?
No, I don't think I have. And this script does something that the American Godzilla movie that we did get doesn't do much of, which is a Godzilla staple, which is people in military boardrooms
talking, yeah.
breaking down, how do we stop this Godzilla? Like, that's such a core fundamental part of Godzilla movies is you need to have a military presence, and they're always bickering about what's the best way to stop Godzilla.
The best way, yeah, exactly. Get your tanks out. No, not your tanks. You got to do this. Right. Yeah. They're all back and forth. But yeah, I really like this. Although he did come up with it, I don't know whether it feels very compressed. He does come out with this amazing theory within 2 seconds. Because I
think about it for one moment. There it is.
I always did think that he would eat a lot. He'd have to eat a lot of fish and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because he can't eat people. We already know that. So that's an interesting. It's an interesting little look inside the biological ticking clock that is Godzilla's, how he works. I like it.
Also, another trope of 90s disaster movies: the president is an idiot.
Yeah, the president is an idiot.
Which is that was actually aged quite well, I guess.
Yeah, he wants his book signed. Hey, now the fact that Helen Hunt and Bill Paxton hate each other so much, Campo, they absolutely hate each other. There's no way they're going to get on in this film, is there?
I will say this: the film, I would say, smartly avoids too much romance between them.
Well, her husband's only just died.
Yeah, it is a far more situational partnership they find themselves in.
By the way, is there a time jump between that and this?
There is, but not a massive one. It's within a few weeks.
Yep.
So we're now back in the Arctic, and we see a soldier at the outpost. He witnesses a pillar of light shoot from the ice. A strange glowing structure starts emerging in the ice. It's kind of composed of large frozen bubbles arranged in a pattern reminiscent of fractals. Alarmed, the soldier radios for help, but his communication is interrupted by a high-pitched interference. This new structure appears to be another manifestation of extraterrestrial forces at play, as if something is awakening beneath the ice again. Aaron, Marty, and Jill all arrive at the Arctic outpost, and they go down and they inspect the newly emerged structure.
This is constructed. There's intelligence behind this. Remember Junji's stories? The people before people?
You think they built this?
Suppose you've got a race of people more advanced than us, with an organic technology instead of a mechanical technology.
There wouldn't be any evidence. The relics would all decay. All you'd have left are stories of lost civilizations.
And this place. And Godzilla.
Up next, happy little elves making toys. How would these bubbles break?
Spontaneously, ma'am. Like that. About 1 an hour.
The cells inside this bubble suggest some sort of storage.
Why not information? I wonder, these pillars appear, then we're signaled to let us know there's something here. Godzilla was discovered accidentally. Maybe prematurely?
We weren't supposed to find him until we found the pillars. They could be here to tell us about Godzilla.
So, what you're saying is, this is the owner's manual.
Well, that makes it sound a little silly, but yeah.
You spout stuff like that. Huge leaps of logic. A total guess. And in your mind, it's already true.
It's not just a guess. You extrapolate from known...
You guess! Admit it!
You search for the underlying pattern.
You guess.
Yeah, well, I'm a good guesser.
Marty removes his visor to wipe it, when suddenly from above, something drips into his eye.
You okay?
Something in my eye.
Oh my god.
What?
Oh my god!
What?
We assumed the fluid kept Godzilla preserved. What if it didn't? If he is a fusion reactor, what were the control rods? What if the fluid...
was like an atomic tranquilizer?
Well, when you put it that way, it makes it sound silly.
I think you're a good guesser, too.
God save me.
Godzilla save me, is what she should say.
Look straight at the camera and go, Godzilla save me.
Yeah. So this structure, they've just stumbled upon it. This guy's got the signal, and now there's this. I didn't quite get it. Was talking about it. It's like an organism, but it's a temple.
Essentially, it was supposed to alert people to Godzilla and how to contain him, but as is indicated at the beginning with the nuclear ship that is wrecked, something triggered it early, and Godzilla's woken up before he should have.
Yeah, so they've got it out of sequence.
Yes.
They should have seen this and gone, okay, there's a big thing.
I will point out this has happened because there is some kind of disturbance on Earth that Godzilla is required for.
Oh, okay. So this is like an alarm system. Like your
it's like an alarm system.
Eufy alarm system has gone off. It's sensed something in the sky and it's triggered it, and it's SMS'd Godzilla to say, get out of here.
They set a little sensor in that tranquil lake down in Utah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you know it? Millions of years later, it went off. So also, Marty had something drip into his eye, but ice water from the cavern. And he actually begins to feel unwell. And he stumbles through the cavern, and his condition starts to worsen, and he collapses. And then when the medics examine him, they discover that his bones are starting to shift unnaturally beneath his skin.
What?
His shoulders start swelling grotesquely. It's kind of a horrifying realization that dawns that something is now happening to Marty. He's transforming, something alien and beyond their understanding.
What? Hang on, Cambo. So a bit of goop. So they're inside this temple.
Mm-hmm.
And a bit of goop fell in his eye, and now it's like we're Cronenberging him.
Yeah, we're Cronenberging him.
Okay, it's a Cronenberg.
See, because I'm inferring some of this, but that temple is alerted when something alien comes, and then that also wakes up Godzilla. But this temple must have some kind of extraterrestrial connection to it
as well.
Yeah. So we're back in Utah as Flea and the sheriff investigate the brutal deaths of a horse called Cinnamon, whose mutilated body has been flung high up into a tree.
Oh, God.
The sheriff suspects maybe rabid animals, but Flea senses something far more disturbing. He mutters,
"Goddamn weird shit."
That's so weird.
We're now aboard the SS Norwegian Goddess, an ocean liner sailing in the Pacific. The radar operator detects something massive approaching the ship. Schools of fish at first, but then something much larger. Godzilla rises from the depth, slamming into the side of the ship, causing it to capsize and sink, sending its passengers into a watery grave. As a rescue team investigates, reports of a dragon-like creature emerge, confirming Aaron's suspicions. It's definitely Godzilla, and he is back. The world is once again in peril. So Marty's condition worsens. His body is now grotesquely transforming. The medics at the Arctic outpost are helpless, unsure of what they're dealing with. Marty is gravely ill and being boarded onto a C-130 transport plane on a stretcher. Aaron, deeply concerned for his friend, helps load him onto the plane. As the cargo door of the planes close, sealing Marty inside, Jill approaches Aaron with urgent news. They've received another sighting of Godzilla, and the predictions are that it's heading towards San Francisco.
Classic.
So we now cut to a military encampment kind of near the base of the Golden Gate Bridge where they're preparing for Godzilla's arrival.
What's its latest position?
We've dispatched a Hawkeye for recon. They'll have it in visual range soon.
Why don't you two sit over there?
We'll stand.
You think that's enough firepower?
Each helicopter carries 2 Mark 46 torpedoes. That's a 98-pound warhead with active and passive sonar for hunting its prey. And the USS Everhart is designed for anti-submarine warfare.
I'm more afraid of what we'll hear from the animal rights people than what basically amounts to a whale.
Well, actually, Godzilla's the size of 3 blue whales.
Stop, you're scaring me. Don't worry, it'll do the job.
And if you're wrong, do you have a contingency plan?
Do you?
Underwater, we see an encapsulated torpedo mine, which launches a torpedo when its target is in range. It's one of several, extending across the underwater channel. Above the water, Huey helicopters outfitted with Medfly spraying apparatus skim above the water. Feeder tubes run into the spraying apparatus from yellow drums of amniotic fluid, the same that we saw in the Arctic. Beyond the helicopters, The Golden Gate Bridge spans the mouth of the bay, and it's jammed with abandoned cars and trucks. On the bridge, Aaron supervises the loading of the yellow barrels into a truck. Back at the command center, on a TV screen, we see a news report.
The reasons for all the activity are still unknown. There's speculation that a nuclear-powered sub has become disabled in the bay. But again, that's just rumor. Communities surrounding the Golden Gate Bridge and the bay have been ordered evacuated.
On the main screen, a satellite image. The San Francisco Bay, the Golden Gate Bridge, and then Godzilla, heading straight for it.
We've spotted him. Order the helicopters to engage.
Aaron, it's begun.
Now shall hard edge, hands and blades do battle for the Horde.
What's that from?
Beowulf! His speech before he battled the dragon?
Did he win?
Yes. But it cost him his army and his life.
Inspirational.
Aaron, you ought to get off the bridge.
Okay, so Godzilla is heading towards the Golden Gate Bridge now. And they're trying to use the amniotic fluid to lull him back into a state of unconscious like he was.
Okay, but you can't have a Godzilla film without some sort of radar situation with the Godzilla outline moving through.
Yes.
Top.
Yeah, especially like it needs to grow larger on the. It needs to start as a dot.
Yeah.
And then slowly grow into like an obscure object as you realize how big this thing is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's good. Look, it's still feeling quite real. This whole film feels quite like what they were trying to aim for, which is the slightly more realistic sort of approach to it. Like all the conversations are very,
This is where we get our first Godzilla action sequence.
Yeah, I love it.
We've had hints of it before where he breaks out or he tips over a ship, but this is the first big midpoint action sequence because the first helicopters lock onto Godzilla. They're firing torpedoes that hit their mark, sending plumes of water into the air for a brief moment. It seems they may have succeeded in sinking the creature. But the hope is short-lived. Godzilla bursts out of the water, towering over the helicopters. His massive claws rake the underside of one helicopter, sending it into a tailspin, while another helicopter is engulfed in flames as Godzilla breathes fire. The helicopters explode into a fiery burst, and it's clear that the military efforts are barely slowing Godzilla down. Pike anxiously watches the screen, waiting for the captor mines to do their job. A series of underwater explosions rock the bay as the mines detonate, sending shockwaves through the water. For a moment, there's silence as the helicopters begin spraying the red-black amniotic fluid, coating the water. Suddenly, Godzilla resurfaces, roaring in pain as the fluid covers him. But remember, Aaron is still on the bridge, and he's watching, growing uneasy, because there's something about Godzilla's behavior that doesn't seem right. He's not just a rampaging monster. He's more like a cornered animal. Godzilla dives beneath the water, disappearing from sight, leaving the bridge eerily silent. But that doesn't last long, because Godzilla suddenly erupts from the water, latching on to the center support of the Golden Gate Bridge. The cables groan under his massive weight as he begins climbing up the bridge, snapping cables as he goes. Aaron, standing on the bridge, stares in shock as Godzilla's enormous head rises above the edge, meeting Aaron's gaze eye to eye. The bridge swings precariously under the creature's weight. Finally, tired, the creature collapses, his immense body falling onto the bridge with a tremendous crash, snapping cables and contorting the structure under his weight. Aaron is thrown like a rag doll, but manages to hang on to a handhold of the bridge as it sways under the massive force. It seems kind of surreal. Godzilla is now vanquished, lying motionless on the Golden Gate Bridge, while Aaron clings for dear life. Aaron's radio crackles to life, and Jill's voice urgently asks if he's alright. Aaron, still dazed from the encounter, can only muster a faint response. What a great bridge. As he stares at Godzilla's defeated form lying before him. So, what do you think of this Golden Gate Bridge action sequence?
Look, it's a very, first of all, okay, a couple of things. One is it's a very interesting visual, like, shot of Godzilla, like, passed out on top of the Golden Gate Bridge.
And those lucky enough to be watching will have seen it on the screen.
Oh, we've got an image of it. Love it. Love it. How many times have we seen the Golden Gate Bridge get destroyed in movies? Many times.
And the Golden Gate Bridge features pretty heavily in the 2014 Godzilla movie as well.
Yeah, it's a cool set piece. The helicopters, everything, and he slashes at the helicopters, and someone probably falls out of the helicopter, and it's just about to fall in Godzilla's mouth, and then he opens his mouth and he falls between his teeth into the watery grave, just so he doesn't eat anyone. And
Godzilla looks at the camera and shrugs.
And gives it a big wink.
The little, like, waggly finger. So now, far away in Utah, at the Bat Cavern, the alien probe continues its sinister work. Inside the cavern, hundreds of tendrils extend from the probe still, linking to large cocoons hanging from the ceiling. And one by one, creatures begin to emerge. They're mutated bat-like horrors with a huge 12-foot wingspan. These are probe bats. The probe bats screech and flutter out of the cave's upper mouth, spreading out across the land in search of their prey. Well, we have come to the end of part 1 of Jan de Bont's Godzilla. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we would love it for you to subscribe, be it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you like to listen. That really helps us get discovered in the charts. It would also be terrific if you could give us a 5-star rating, or most importantly of all, tell a friend. We're completely independent here at Cancel Movie Report, so your support really does mean the world to us. And what do you think of the movie so far, and have you missed anything? We would love to hear from you. You can always get in touch with us via cancelmovies@gmail.com or @cancelmovies on all the socials. And if there's a cancelled movie project you've always wanted to hear about, why not let us know? You can fill out the form in the episode description alerting us to a project. We may just give it the Cancelled Movie Report treatment. I'm Michael Campbell. I've hosted, edited, and produced this episode, and Eden Porter was my co-host too. Just doing it visually, are we?
Yeah, I'm just doing, for the people watching, I'm just doing a wave. But for people listening, I'll also say thank you very much for having me, Cambo.
You're very welcome. We also have an amazing voice cast, which includes Michael Hahn, Danielle Santos, Erion Moore, Ben Wagner, Dani Siller, Bill Sunderland, and Jay Zadeh. Make sure you're listening next week to hear how they managed to keep Godzilla contained, or if in fact they do. And if you can't wait, here is a sneak peek.
That's it. That's Godzilla's destination.
You're saying Godzilla has a purpose?
Yes. These stories that are handed down, they're not just myths. I think they're prophecies.
But until then, take care.